Beautiful. So here we are today with another episode of the Becoming Cosmically You podcast. So today we have Janice on, and Janice has got some really beautiful messages about leading yourself through life, which I think is really, really, really important. It's something that we like champion as well. Oh, by the way, if I turn a different color in this podcast, just assume it's normal, okay? Sometimes I would turn purple in these podcasts. It gets a bit weird sometimes. Anyway, Janice, over to you. Let us know who you are and where you come from.
Hi there. Thank you. Well, thank you for having me here. I'm Janice Noehulani. I'm in New Mexico right now, and I'm a shamanic love coach and a soul medicine teacher, the soul medicine healing teacher. Yeah. Typically, people who work with me, just like their psychic abilities get supercharged, their healing abilities get supercharged, and we just allow people to like come back to their own wisdoms. That's pretty much what we do. The cosmic we.
Yeah, let's answer the question then. How do you describe the we that you're talking about?
Well, I'm a natural born psychic. So from long ago, I saw ETs, I saw, and that was really weird. So I spent my whole life figuring out how to make that useful. And pretty much I just work with all sorts of energies, particularly with the people in front of me. Their spirit helpers usually communicate with me, but I do have a set of my own helpers that I work with, but it changes a lot depending on what's happening in the world. Yeah.
I love
So
that.
I just have teams of energies and beings, light beings, and also human beings, human angels that help me all the time.
Yeah, because we need those actual angels as well, right? That's beautiful. So where did you said that you're a natural psychic, I think the words that you use. Like, so have you always been aware of your gifts? Like, when did you become aware of them?
Yeah, well, at first it didn't seem like a gift, yeah, because at 3 I saw, people split, their spirits split from them. I've seen, ancestors. Sometimes in the beginning it came in scary ways because I was it was, no one else saw it. So I had to be quiet about it, and I had to figure out how to make sense of it. For a while, I just turned it off. I was like, nope, I'm not gonna see that for a long time. And then, through my life, my empathy pretty much saved my life. It's often a really good protective mechanism, as you know. And then around the time I was 18, I fell in love with my daughter's father, and we just like sat around meditating for 8 hours a day, and it just like turned on my abilities. And then after that, I was so blessed because teachers kept coming to my life. Just like randomly I'd meet someone, and then all of a sudden they would be my teacher that would show me some things until I met my teacher for life, about 11 years ago. And she'll definitely be my teacher for her life or my life. She changed my life. And she brought in a bunch of Lemurian tools that created a stability in my abilities. Like I used them the entire time, whether I was, helping people heal, or for a long time as a shamanic love coach, I help people find love, and then what happened was I got a divorce, and for a while I was like, fuck love, fuck that, I was like, I'm over it, I need a break from all that love stuff. And now, but everything, as you know, is truly love, right? So I still consider myself a shamanic love coach, but I typically will help people with the darker side of things, like the things that are unseen, and that's how people find me. Is they've tried everything. I feel like you and I have never talked, but I kind of feel like you know what I'm talking about, because I feel like, right, I feel like you're right in alignment with that. Like there's some things that people don't understand why they come to you, but they know that they need to be there. Is that true for you?
Yeah, definitely. I always hear things like, "Oh, I don't know how I found you,"
Yeah.
or "I have no idea what I'm doing here." And I'm like, "Well, let's have a chat then. Let's
Yeah.
talk it out in 3D." But yeah, I think when you are tapped into the beings above the third dimension, you tend to have very many conversations going at the same time, right?
Yep.
All at the
Absolutely.
same time in different languages and different forms, with energy, with words, with visions, and yeah, it gets busy. Gets busy.
It gets busy. And also hopefully you're learning how to like direct that energy, like decide. I mean, that's the really beautiful thing about just doing it forever, is that at this point, like for instance, I don't know about you, but I'm single. I just think I just said that. And dating being me is such a trip, because you really have to, like, as soon as you see something, you open that door, I can't close it, right? So I'm like, all right, let's just try and keep that closed as long as possible so I could get to know the human person in front of me. And
I I'm not single, and I think it is an interesting um it is interesting, the journey of dating, right? And I think I remember when I first started dating my partner, and I kind of told her a little bit about who I was on a multi-dimensional level, but not really the full extent of it. And I think the one time I was like, right, we need to go to dinner and I need to literally tell you everything. And I felt like I was literally introducing her to everything that I am, and sometimes she's open to it because she works with spirits as well, but more, she's a funeral director, so she deals with like human spirits. But most of the time, yeah, it's a ride, isn't it? Like, I think it's a
it is so
ride.
funny. It is so funny. And I had to really get that it's going to take a little bit for me to, yeah, to meet the right person. I'm having a great time though dating. I finally figured out the code to like make dating wonderful.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I think through the journey of finding and working with someone else in partnership, there are so many new layers to work through as well, about yourself, about trust, about patience, about your 3D-ness, how you consider yourself, about like your things like confidence. You're working at all these new layers of yourself, and you're almost meeting yourself again. So yeah, dating is interesting, really interesting.
It is really interesting. It's also like it's been great training ground, right, for me, because what the gift of it has been, that I have learned to let people be who they are,
Mm.
rather than, you know, I keep feeling like you know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm sure you, which is like when you see into people's souls, you see the potential, but
Mm.
it's not, and the potential is good. Like holding the space for people's potential is great, and part of the work that I think we both do, but allowing people to be right where they are, there's so much freedom in that. And I think we run as humans with lots of agendas, and wanting people to meet us in certain places, especially in partnership, or our children, and
Mm.
it's so amazing to just release that. But
Mm.
it is a constant releasing, because we're so programmed. So I'm constantly showing up for that, like, okay, everyone in my field gets to be exactly where they are, even though as a, in my career, I guide people to their wisdom and their greatness.
Mm.
It's like, however long that takes, I'm here for the ride, right? And sometimes it's a day, and sometimes it's 5 years, right? It's like, and we all want to rush it because we're in the doing society. But there is power in just sort of sinking into this moment, who we are right now, too.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. I think it's less about the doing. I think people just want to receive all the time. I think that's the thing that I've noticed. They want to just get it really, really, really fucking fast and do absolutely fucking nothing for it. And you're like,
Yeah.
kind of work like that.
I love that you're saying that. That's so, yeah, exactly. It's like one, there is a blessing to right where you are, you know, and when you don't sit there and acknowledge that, you're missing something really big. And but yeah, I love that you're saying that. It's so true. It's so true.
And the other thing as well, my team want to provide UK.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. I
Yeah,
don't know if
best
I didn't tell
time.
you this, but I drove like 24 hours just recently, and I was like, I gotta get back so I can, and I'm a little sleepy, love.
You don't feel sleepy. You feel very fun. Um, my team were just saying something about it. What was it, team? Has it gone now, or do we need to mention it? Oh, it's gone. Okay. Yeah, this thing about patience and surrender is really, really, really important. Oh yeah, that's it. Thank you, team. So it's all about building the groundwork. I think a lot of humans here expect just to see the result and feel the result and get the reward, and not forgetting that you've got to go really, really fucking deep sometimes and build those groundworks. You've got to explore those traumas. You've got to pick it all apart. You've got to go on those timelines. You've got to go on a bit of a ride. And then when you spend a bit of time and you've been consistent with the same thing, and it's done your head in so long that you're like, when am I ever going to get from this? I'm giving up. You surrender, and then usually something comes in to reward you.
Yeah, I
Most
know.
people give up.
Right, right. Or don't even want to touch the surface of their pain.
Mm.
But as humans, that is the gift of being human. It's like out of the universe, we are one, this universe at least. We are the ones that feel. And many beings come to this place in order to experience that feeling self. It is the gift for us, but many people don't want to scratch the surface of that. And it's really so sad, because then what happens is it spews out on other people. It spews out on generations of people instead of like really dealing with it. And that is literally one thing that I'm super proud of, is that my daughter, like, I ended ancestral cycles with her, and I get to see that because she lives this blessed life. And she also, she's a deep spiritual being. She loves humanity. And every morning she wakes, she's like 30 now, right? She's an adult, but every morning she wakes up and she prays and she connects with spirit. She's so wise. And I get a chance to see that work that I did,
Mm.
changed. Like, she doesn't have to live the trauma and the suffering that I did. I'm
Mm.
so proud of that. I'm so proud of that.
I love that. You should be proud of yourself for that, you know?
Yeah, I'm proud of myself that I get to show up and continue to change, because some wounds are pretty deep, but through them, they have helped me with these gifts yeah, that we both bring to the world, I feel like.
I love that. I really love that. And I think one of the things that I really loved when I read your bio is about what is your medicine? It's you. And what is the greatest here in the world? It's love. Like, I love that, because I think there are so many people in our niche um, still thinking that you have to kind of learn lots of things. You have to go on this massive exploration of learning like healing modalities and things like that. But most of the time, we've got such innate wisdom, and we're able to tap in to such great power that most of the time these healing modalities aren't even enough to come close to the power that humans can tap into. And it just it startles me sometimes that people can't see that for themselves.
Well, I think that that's why you and I are here, because what we do is we bring people right back to themselves. Like, I'm psychic for sure, but I don't, no one ever hires me for psychic readings. And whenever they try, I'm like, here's your money back. Because what that does is it does take you out of your wisdom. I definitely use my psychic abilities for everything I do, but my goal is to unleash your knowing, because and it's so important for this time, because we're split. We're split as the universe is kind of split. The earth, the people on the earth are split. We're divided. And we have to come back to our soul's wisdom. I don't know why I brought that up. I just lost it. But it's so incredibly important for all of us to bring the soul back, to bring that knowing who we are. And although we have the same flavor, right? We're all from love. We're all from light. We each have this unique gift to bring to the world. And unless you actually start to alchemize your emotions, get comfortable in the uncomfortable, it really is, it's kind of difficult to do that, right? Because you'll hold back. You'll hold back.
Absolutely. And oftentimes your story where you've gone through trauma and you've come out the other side is where you're going to be healing other people. So a lot of people haven't gone through it yet to get to the good part.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that was my journey, right? And but you know what was really funny is that one time I talked to someone. I had this assumption, and it was because I was attracting people who needed help, because I had worked through my own trauma journey. I got to the other side, still getting to the other side, right? Like you uncover a layer and then you're like, oh God, there's another layer, a little deeper, right? And you start learning how to get comfortable in that, and it move through it much faster. But I had met someone who was like, yeah, I don't have that. And I looked into their cells, and it was like they're golden. And they were like, but people around me do. That's how they came into the world. They got to witness how to be this sort of rock for people who were having a hard time. And I thought, oh wow, someone who doesn't have all that trauma. And it just like, it brought me like, I have so much joy, because it kind of broke up my thinking. I think that all of us in this time have a certain level of trauma, and that we have to work and alchemize that. But when you meet those people who just have those golden cells, it's like beautiful too.
Yeah, good on them. I always say with trauma, it's such a beautiful thing to have, because I find like the deeper that you've been on your traumas and you've healed them, it gives you such a deep level of empathy to guide your clients. So yeah, these people with the golden cells, they're amazing, whatever, but how can people relate to them if they haven't been on this journey of trauma? So, I would never swap. I would never swap even any one of my traumas for anything, because I've been through it. I've got the badge, and now the badge sits in a suitcase somewhere. I don't need to show it anymore. It's retired.
I totally know what you mean. I it sometimes it's hard when you're in it, but I think that's, we come into this, the way I look at it is, we come into this world with a set of agreements. We come into this body, and part of it is to realize and to realize certain things about ourselves, and those experiences keep trying to push us towards love. Like if those things didn't happen to me in the past, for me at least, I decided to figure out what life was about. It kept pushing me more closer to me. That wasn't the same case for my sister, and we came from the, you know what I mean? Like we all have choice. We all have choice to be able to let it become our power. And I did. For whatever reason, that was what I decided to do. And I think we all have like sort of, like you said, these timelines or these choice points where we get to keep choosing the power or not. And there have been times in my life where I didn't. Like my last partnership, I needed a break. I needed to deeply mourn that loss. And then it brought me to the other side, and boy, like I got to see exactly why that happened, and it was so potent. It's been amazing. I'm grateful now for it, but it took me some time. Took me some time to really get through that and see the gift of it.
But it does, time is such a beautiful healer. So one of the things that you're working with people on now, you've got a program, I believe, a monthly subscription experience. Do you want to talk us through what that is?
Yeah. I have a monthly subscription called Transcend, and at first the name is going to be changing, just to be honest with you, but it's mainly women in that group. It's all women, and it's for those people who are in a transition. They've gone through loss, and they're just trying to find themselves. When you go through these major life experiences, most people end up really questioning who they are, and so it's a group where we get together and I teach some ancient skills. I teach some modern day practical skills to help you get to knowing who you are, but we'll always integrate healing work in there, some of those Lemurian tools that I was telling you about, which are, in my mind, the soul's anatomy. And when you begin to get connected to your soul's anatomy, you're able to hold on to your energy. This is the one thing that I notice with women's particularly, is that we don't know how to just hold on to our own energy and remain powerful. We're really loose regarding like how we show up for people. We're always showing up for people. We never completely keep our energy held in and generate our own energy all the time, keeping that a solid foundation and then giving. It's like we're already, like our fields are loose. And when we begin to reconnect to all of our own soul's anatomy, it not only turns on our intuition and our knowing and those wisdoms, it just allows us to stay solid in this like crazy world, that we live. And so Transcend is a monthly ongoing group, and we just learn those skills, and we're a bunch of powerful women that support each other, which is actually one of the most valuable things, is coming together and just holding each other when we need it, sharing with one another, and working on each other in a way that feels, that keeps us solid in this.
I love that. You know what, community is really important, and I think community even more so this year. And sharing each other's stories. One of the reasons why we started this podcast really was my team, who I refer to as Cosmic HQ, told me basically, and most of the time I do what they say, not always. Sometimes I tell them to go fuck themselves.
I know what you're talking about. Sometimes it takes me a while. I'm like, no, I'm resisting that. Yeah, I get it.
But sometimes I'm like, no, that's not my job. Sorry, I didn't sign up for that.
I love that you have free will on even in the spirit realm. Isn't that, I feel like a lot of people, direct, listen in to this wisdom, and then they forget that actually they get to direct it all.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you have to have boundaries, and you have to know who you're communicating with, right? Because as soon as you start opening yourself up, every which being, entity, energy, human spirit wants a piece of you, and you're like, nah, not today. And that's quite worrying. That worries me sometimes, that people aren't aware.
Yeah, definitely. People are not aware sometimes.
Plus, a very big misconception I see, and I don't know if you see this as well, Janice, but people assume that the self-serving beings, so we say, we'll just call them for now, haven't got the ability to make you feel good. They just say because it feels good, it must be from the light. And I'm like, it's not always the case.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. There's a lot of masks going on out there.
Mm,
And I think that that's the very reason why it's so important to know, like, hold your own energy.
mm.
So then that filter becomes stronger of what is actually right for you, aligned with you, and not. And I've seen a lot of a lot of people in human form, you know, say that they're working light and they're not. So yeah,
Yeah, I've
yeah,
seen that as well. I've learned that the hard way,
yeah.
and received quite a hefty attachment because of it, and then had to go through a process of removing it. So yeah, like when they say you've worn the t-shirt.
You've worn the T.
I've
Yep.
worn the t-shirt. I think the best way to learn in this industry, whatever you do, is to go through it yourself.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. 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 I 100% agree. And then the people who we help don't have to go through those really tough things because
Yeah,
we got to work it out already. I totally get it. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my God.
And that's the thing. And the other thing that whenever I say this, it always gets like quite a lot of negativity, should we say, but people can't always feel it or see it. Is I say that most of the work that we do now is completely effortless. We're not digging into deep traumas and triggering emotions anymore. We've done all that. We've raised the frequency collectively so high that we don't need to do all that really old-fashioned stuff again. Like, we've been there. We've got
Yeah.
quantum tools. We've got cosmic connections. Like, we can transmute in the click of our fingers, and it's gone. And people always look at me like I've got three heads when I say that, but then I get that kind of attention anyway most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I think well, you know what? It's really funny because I'm pretty like, I don't, I don't like, a lot of people don't know what I'm doing because I don't spread it around. But like, speaking about what you were saying yesterday while I was driving, I had to go to a celebration of life um in California, and I live in New Mexico, so that's a couple states away. And I was driving and I was like, oh man, I woke up so early, I didn't meditate, I didn't get into my vibe. So I stopped for a minute and I like embodied my dragon because I felt like there was some energy that needed to be, like, cleared up. Felt so good, I tell you. And yeah, like that stuff, those energies that were on me, if you want to say that, used to take me months and months to deal with. And in a period of 40, it just, I stayed there for about 40 minutes to an hour because it just felt good at that point. But yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, dang, that used to take me forever. And then, many helpers and many beings to help me. And now it's like, yeah, just like that, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. It's all about the embodiment, isn't it? And I think that people forget that we are multidimensional and we can call on these aspects of ourselves like dragons, like instantly. It doesn't have to take years anymore. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited for the human collective to move through this deep stage of trauma and dragging themselves like dead bodies through things, and realizing that all they have to do is go through a certain number of steps, and then it gets to be effortless. And I'm not saying there's no work with this, but it gets to be easier than they're making it. I'm like,
Yeah,
humans, lighten up. This gets to be fun.
I love that. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. It doesn't have to be so hard. Yeah. 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 I still work on that. I work on that a lot, actually, because sometimes I go to such deep places, you know, and I remember, I'm bringing it up because I've been thinking about this and I'm closing my eyes because I'm kind of feeling into it. It's like, I could be such a dark princess sometimes, straight up. And sometimes I get a hit of that pain then it filters through all my old pain stuff, and then I'm like, okay, like I have to really choose. For me, I have to choose all the time to keep it light.
Mm,
It's kind of effortless because at the core of me, my wisdom is joy, but on the opposite side of that, the polarity of it is definitely not joy. And
mm,
so I'm learning how to like be in the middle of it all, be it all, right? I'm not like my lesson is to not resist anything, right? Because if I'm resisting all the dark stuff, just like what we're talking about, we keep circling around this really great topic of like, if I'm resisting the dark, then I'm also resisting another side of me,
mm,
and my wholeness in this universe, right? It's all here moving through us. It's if it's in the universe, it's within me. So I'm really learning how to, like, I protect myself every day, but also if I have this idea that I need to protect myself from something, I'm attracting the thing I need to protect myself from, right? So
mm.
it's all of these levels of like I don't know. I like to think of the dance with the universe, and and as soon as you start realizing you don't have to protect yourself from even the dark, that it can shift and change. Which, when I'm saying that, it's really funny because you gotta know how to deal with the dark, as well. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I'm thinking about just alchemizing it all, just like allowing it to move through you and not resisting anything. Because yeah.
Mm. You've got
Louise,
like,
this is what happens when I wake up. We're on major different time zones, I think. And so,
yeah, we're like 2:30 in the afternoon here. So
okay, all right.
yeah,
Yeah, it's 7 here. I usually start my day at like 11.
yeah,
Also the gift of the things that we do, right? We can
yeah,
kind of have our own
yeah.
timeline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I understand what you're bringing that in about accepting the dark side of you. There's a message coming through from my team. I don't know if you want me to share it now or wait until afterwards.
Please, for sure.
So there's an aspect of you that they're referring to as like the dark temptress. And it, oh, is that you or is that me?
I think that's you.
Sorry, one sec, someone's calling me.
Oh, I love it. Who's calling you? Because that's usually pretty
I'm
time.
uh, one sec. I'm getting some doors trimmed today because I'm getting my carpet laid, and someone is trying to call me, which is always interesting. This is real life, guys. This is real life. Um, so yeah, the thing that was coming through for you was this aspect of you called like the dark temptress. That's what my team are referring to her as, and she's this kind of like beautiful in the dark, but kind of wants to experience the light. And she's part of you that wants to come in and embody you. And she really enjoys, they said that you enjoy like a hit of pain. You're like a bit of like a pain junkie, which is why you experience this pain coming through you, because you want to experience all the different multifacets of emotions, basically, and feelings. And
Mhm.
so for you, when you were kind of moving and telling me about it's moving through you, I could just see this beautiful aspect of yourself that really just wants to come in and be part of you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Also, I think part of the mission here on the planet is to help people move through their pain. So
Mm,
that's probably why that's really, yeah, that's cool. Thank you for that.
that's okay. You're welcome.
Little
um,
integration happening as we speak.
yes, it's definitely integrating. I feel like we're definitely having conversations above the third dimension at the same time here.
Yeah. Oh my God, totally. Always, always, always.
I love these conversations. So, where can people find you, Janice, if they want to stalk you and find out more about what you do?
Yeah, you can find me all over the place. Just look up JaniceNoehulani.com or Janice Noe. That's my IG. That's my Facebook. Janice Noehulani, shamanic love coach. Both of those things you'll really find me. And there's, I had made this program that I feel like if they're in your field, they've already done this work, but it's such the basis of what I do. And it's a Ho'oponopono mini course. And it truly is powerful work for people who are just getting moving, but even, everyone who's been in in the field of healing, right? Forgiveness work is so important right now. It is so crucial and important. Personal forgiveness, forgiving others, and asking for forgiveness for the things that we're still holding on to. It's just it's so important. And so, for anyone who listens and wants to connect, they can get that mini course if they want, and it's free. I made it for everyone, but it's Ho'oponopono 2.0. So I've been lucky to work with a couple kahunas and learn from them, and yeah, it's at the core of all the work I do. I mean, you'd be super surprised how just the process of going through your entire life and doing some forgiveness work will open doors like crazy.
I love that. Such a beautiful message. And I think there's so much, my team just want to add to that. I think there's so much resistance about forgiveness because people assume that you have to forgive the acts that people did, but actually it's more about letting go, right? It's letting go of that resistance and that pain that you're holding on to. It's saying, I'm not going to drink this poison anymore. I'm going to put it down. I'm not going to continue poisoning my own body with my own thoughts. That's what forgiveness to me really is. Not I'm letting you get off the hook for your actions because you haven't got to worry about that. People who have done you wrong will either get served with karma or they did it because you needed to feel that in order to trigger something within you. They put their hand up to trigger trauma or whatever it was, whatever they did to you. And so you should be really fucking grateful that they put their hand up to do that really shitty role in your life, really.
Yeah, because it's helping you. Lifetimes of pain are getting, all that karma is being lifted up if you actually go through forgiveness. I mean, forgiveness is for you, it's not really for them. But I'll tell you in this, I'll give you a story real quick. Do you have time for a story?
Yeah, always.
So my first husband, my daughter's father, he had many affairs and affairs with some of my friends. And there's this one woman who he had an affair with. She was a friend, and for 25 years she was my nemesis. It was just unbelievable. Like, she'd come around and all my friends would try and protect me. I'm a powerful woman, like, what's happening here? But I was totally in my victim with her, right? It was just really interesting. And then I did a soul retrieval, and I didn't do it on her, but it came in so big that I had her energetically by the neck. Like, she wronged me, and I needed to prove that all the time, which one kept me in my victim. And also I was appalled by the fact that energetically I was not only abusing her, but I was abusing myself, right? And once I let her go, and I was like, oh my God, all these things come into consciousness for us to heal it. So I let her energy go. I sent her back to herself. I took my energy back from her. And what happened was the next time I saw her, my friends didn't need to protect me. Albuquerque's small, you know, we didn't need, no one needed to protect me. I was in my power. I was able to look her in the eye and acknowledge her presence. And I was set free, but I was constantly keeping that energy alive. And that is what we do, right? When we're not willing to create forgiveness, we don't create space for ourselves to move on in peace and in freedom and allow more energy to come in. And oh man, that was such a big lesson for me. That was such a big lesson for me. And honestly, that's the great thing with Ho'oponopono, is that you don't have to do it with them. You don't have to do the forgiveness work with them. You do it yourself. You do it with your soul. You do it with your spirits. You know, you do it through energy, soul to soul. Voila.
Yeah, exactly. And so powerful as well when you just let people go without that resistance.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And the things that happened after that were just so huge. Actually, that work started the process of my physical healing. You know, there's so many layers to it. So yeah, thanks. Thanks for letting me share that story.
You're welcome. I love that. I really love that. You know, forgiveness is really, really important. So I love how you shared with us. Thank you. So any other messages that you want to share before we start recording, Janice, and then we'll have a little chat?
Yeah. Let's see, what do I want to share? We didn't touch upon this, but there is a place in each of us where we're integrating the masculine and feminine. And we hear, I don't know why I'm saying this, but it's like really apparent that either I need this in the moment or that your listeners need to hear it. But there's, so much work around, feminine embodiment, which is so important, but don't forget your masculine. Please take them along with you for the ride. Just have this huge, beautiful integration of both. I'm probably saying that because I need to acknowledge that in this moment. Actually, I'm feeling it. Yeah. And when you begin to do that, the world needs it right now, and we need it as well to create more harmony within ourselves. Yeah.
And that's what it's about, right? Just creating harmony, balance, and always being led by your heart. And when you've got those things, it doesn't even matter what happens in the outside world. You're not even affected by it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think as we focus on all this hard stuff out in the world, we contribute to it, right? When we're creating harmony within us, we have a greater ability to create harmony outside, in our environment around us. And I think people really need that. So
they do. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, divine masculine definitely needs some work in the world right now because it gets triggered a lot more than the divine feminine.
Yeah, I get it. I know. I understand.
That's okay. There's always work to be done.
It's a process, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about accepting, isn't it? And surrendering, and then what's next? What do I need to do now? And there's no shame in still doing the work. I mean, I always call bullshit on people who are like, no, I'm fully healed. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we're not going to be having a conversation then, huh?
Yeah, you're perfect. You go back on your little throne again and stay there, and I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing.
Right. That is so right. Yeah. Oh my God, I love it.
All right, I'm going to start recording now and thank our readers and our listeners and our watchers, and then we'll have a little chat, Janice, afterwards.
All right. Yay. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Bye bye.